2025 is a really special year because every single outer planet, meaning the planets that are furthest away from the solar system, the ones that take the longest to change signs, are all changing signs this year. Pluto was the first one that entered into Aquarius in November of last year, so 2024. And we covered in the previous video that Saturn was in Pisces now, and now moving into Aries, was in Pisces. And now we have our third one happening on June the 9th. And that is that Jupiter is changing signs from Gemini into Cancer. Now, Jupiter changing sign is not a crazy thing because out of all the four outermost planets, it's the one that's closest. So it only takes about a year to change signs. But I think this one is really, really significant because the overall picture of the astrology at the moment is very focused on themes like Aries and Pisces and Aquarius. It's like dreamy things and forward-thinking things and spiritual things and technology things. And, it's a lot of like forward movement. We have a lot of elements, a lot of planets in the elements of fire and air. So think about what happens when you mix fire and air. It's like it moves so fast. So what I think is really kind of beautiful about Jupiter moving into Cancer is that it's bringing this kind of soothing that we are going to need. For background, Jupiter has been in Gemini for the past year. And what you need to know about Jupiter is it's physically the biggest planet in the solar system. In human design, Jupiter is also the planet that is tasked and it's in charge of the reincarnation process. So Jupiter has a lot of myth around it and it has a lot of depth, just like everything else. But what you need to know about Jupiter is it expands everything it touches. It is the planet of abundance, of blessings, of increase, of where we are lucky in our chart, like wherever we specifically have Jupiter as things that may come easy to us, things that we are blessed with. And then just like everything else, there has, it has negative iterations to it. So the downsides of Jupiter, too much abundance. So it's overeating, over-consuming, overdoing things, not knowing when enough is enough. It's not like Saturn. Saturn comes in with the limitations, and sometimes the limitations are out of balance, right? Jupiter is more happy-go-lucky, but it's the one that's going to overspend. It's going to be the one that's going to overeat. It's going to not always have its feet firmly on the ground. But what I think is so beautiful about this Jupiter movement is that Jupiter has been in Gemini for the past year or so, like I was saying. Jupiter in Gemini, to me, is expansion in the Gemini areas of life. So Jupiter pulling focus on a collective level for all of us, right? It's saying, look here, look at where Jupiter is. Expand this area of life and how you humans explore this. And the areas of Gemini is communication, thoughts and words, and how we talk to each other, how we go about our day-to-day life. So this to me has said, expanding the conversations in our lives, expanding the thoughts in our lives. So what has been happening is there's been a lot of focus about, AI and how we use social media and how we communicate with each other. And what you need to know is that when something changes signs, the other thing that it was doing before isn't lost. It always gets to move. You always get to kind of take with you the things that you really built during that time, right? But everyone knows in the last year or so, the conversations around AI and how we're going to communicate to each other and how we're going to be connected to each other has really increased. And to a lot of people, that is creating fear. And to a lot of people, it's creating overexcitement. It's creating maybe ungrounded excitement. It's created, is it this or is it that, which is Gemini. Gemini also rules like sometimes not knowing which one to take because there's so much going on at the same time. It's like multitasking because it's the twins, right? It's two things at the same time. It's two things on the go. And so sometimes it's like, it could be this and it could be that. And then Jupiter's coming in to say it could be, oh my God, it could be all the way this way, or it could be oh my God, all the way that way. So in the signs of Gemini is how we speak, how we communicate, how we talk. So the collective conversation around where we're going in our human connection and communication has really ramped up. What I think is going to happen now that it moves into Cancer is that the conversation we're having is going to evolve. It's going to say, okay, it's going to be amazing or it's going to be terrible. And you're promising me that it's going to do this, this, and this for me, and it's going to do this and this for my life. But what about me? What do I need? Cancer rules our most beautiful at our roots, what we're nurtured by, what we really need, what nurtures us, what feeds us, our own needs, like what we need to feel taken care of. And so I think the natural continuation is us then being able to say, sure, you're giving me the, this like too good to be true. It's going to make everyone be able to, never have to work, and it's going to make everyone have 10 personal assistants, and it's going to make, I'm going to be able to make $46 million in my first 4 months. Like, please don't fall for those kind of, pie in the sky things, although it will bring, this is the part that's difficult, is that it will bring things that actually did seem like pie in the sky, but you just have to kind of have your wits about you and remember that AI it's not on its own an intelligent thinker. It is not a seer. It doesn't replace a therapist, a guide. It doesn't replace your own ability to draw down inspiration and ideas. It is just a very, very well resourced Google and video editor and personal assistant. And absolutely, you should use it for that. But what is going to happen is that because Cancer rules our most basic needs, who we are at our roots, we're going to say, what do I want out of life? And not just from AI and not just from social media and all those things to do with Gemini, but we're going to say, what really makes me happy? And if you are a person who thinks that they've already asked themselves that question, you're going to see in the next year or so, you're going to ask yourself that question in a way that feels like you've never asked it to that level of depth before. And you're going to be able to answer it in a deeper way than ever before. So it's going to be a really beautiful thing that we all need. It's like the universe is gifting us with this like salve, with this balm, with this like call to make us expand on the areas of our lives that are to do with care. Now, I also want you to know that the US chart has Jupiter in Cancer. So the chart of the US as a country, the Jupiter of the US chart is in Cancer. So America is very me. What do I need? What do I need? What do I need? And that's the negative version of it too, is like not at the expense of other people, not in the overindulgence, right? But in balance. And that's what we have to learn, is like there are beautiful ways to express these things. Other places that are ruled by Cancer could be anything to do with hospitals, hospice care, the home industry, real estate, families. So it could be to do with, I don't know, more people deciding that having a family is important, right? More people moving back to my actual, like, tangible community, the people that I live with. That's where I want to be. I don't necessarily want to be out there talking so much online, and we're feeling this already, like, what are my social media connections doing for me? What about my needs? What about the people I live with? Because that's what Cancer wants us to do and address. So this is not like a life-changing transit in the same way that Pluto in Aquarius is kind of, life-changing, and it's not as existential, for example, as Saturn now moving into Aries out of Pisces. And when Uranus, which is the fourth of the outer planets, changes signs, the last one, which is happening on July the 7th, which we'll talk about separately, that's a 7-year cycle roughly. So that's going to be another really big deal. And I think we'll get into this, but that's going to have a really big impact on like the financial markets and on gold and currency and farming and land and sort of commodities and all that sort of thing. So Jupiter in Cancer is just like, if you feel yourself asking, but what about me? And what do I want to gain out of all of this? Instead of having to buy into everything that is promised to us and everything in life that is saying you're going to be validated by putting your energy into this and this and this and this. And as long as you do all of these things, your life is going to be great. And you just need to make sure you keep up. That's going. You now get to pull the power back to yourself and say, actually, no. Cancer wants to move slow. It's the crab. It walks sideways. And the negative side of Cancer is it moves sideways out of fear. But the positive side of Cancer is if it just keeps going in and out of the sea and back into the sand, it finds its groove. It knows how to look after things. It has its shell. It knows how to protect itself. It knows how to stay resilient in many different environments, right? So how do we adjust to these new environments? We take care of our own needs, because if everybody looked after their own needs and kind of measured which dosage of every single thing that is told, we're being told can help us, then everyone is going to get, and the world as a whole is going to get and take exactly what they need and nothing more. And that's what we have to make sure with Jupiter is like not overdoing it, right? So we've overdone it on the over consuming of information, the getting overexcited about communication, the over getting excited about social media. All of us thinking that in order to have a business, we have to have an online presence. We all have to have a strategy to get to 100 million views, and that's going to be the thing that's going to solve all the things that we actually really do want out of life. But Jupiter and Cancer is saying re-engineer this. Think about what your true needs are, and then reverse engineer. Make the goals fit your wants. Don't just have vague wants that the world has given you and then buy into the things the world tells you that you need to have in order to have them. So Jupiter is in Cancer roughly every 12 years, because like I said, it's about a year in each sign. So, across all the 12 signs, it's and Jupiter is in Cancer. So it's also a good time to think about what you were doing in 2013, and not just what you were doing, but maybe what you were kind of going through existentially. Of course, at any given time in life, there's many different layers depending on all the different planets and where they are and how they're at play. But, certainly it's not selfish to remember what your needs are and to actually then give yourself the permission slip to quiet out all the other noise of the other things that the world is telling you. You should want this. This is what everyone else is wanting in order to be loved by them or keep up with them or think you're doing life well. These are the wants that I'm handing down. That's really going to change, and we're going to see people really reclaim their own individual wants that might not look like any other people's wants, right? Like, maybe you've always thought that you wanted to write books, but actually you just want to be an illustrator. Maybe you thought you wanted a New York Times bestseller list, but actually, you just want to cook and you want to start a meal delivery service for your neighborhood, or you want to help become a doula, or the other way around. And what we really need to realize is that because of Jupiter being so abundant and wanting to give us all these blessings, it's kind of the side of God or the side of the Creator that wants us to be happy, that wants to give to us whatever we ask for. And so there's this regression as well that we're going to see the curtains kind of come down about like, okay, so what's so great about having a reel that has 100 million views? Like, okay, cool. We've just all kind of been emperor's new clothes into and like ramrodded it down our throats that should be something that fulfills us. But now we're noticing, hold on a second, like it tastes like sweet and low. It's not the real sugar. It's like, it's just not that great. And maybe if enough people put up their hands and say it's not that great, then we take away from it the only thing that keeps the illusion spinning and at the top of the pile, right? Is our belief that it's at the top of the pile. And this is what is so powerful as a concept for whatever we're going to do. Bitcoin is only powerful because enough people believe in Bitcoin. The US dollar is only powerful because enough people buy into it and use it. It is our life force that we choose to energize the thing with that makes the thing high up the totem pole. So what about if you realized you could make yourself the highest thing in your own small totem pole that is your life? What if you and your becoming and your own authentic needs and wants and your own authentic dreams and how you look after yourself and how you love yourself and how you respect yourself and how you revere the fact that you have this soul that has so much in it that you don't even know is like that you're sitting on this gold mine, and how much you be the Cancerian to that, like being the mother to yourself, being the guide to yourself, like that's going to be the focus now. And so it starts with all of us giving ourselves the permission slip to sign out and say, actually, I'm just not into this thing, or I'm semi into it, or I'm into it only for this, but I don't need the rest, or I'm just not buying into this idea. Because Mercury, which governs Gemini, where Jupiter has been, is all about our thoughts, our thought process, our ideas. So we don't need to buy into every idea. We've had way too many ideas in the last year. We've had way too many ideas personally, which has created confusion for some of us, but we've also had way too many ideas that us as a collective are buying into. And again, we're buying into it. So they seem like these things are going to last forever. It seems like, oh, this thing is going to be, AI and ChatGPT. It's such a fever pitch right now. Of course, if I don't think and ask myself, I'm assuming it's going to be around for 10 years, but maybe it won't be. And things are moving so fast that don't be surprised if it doesn't. So the only long-term thing worth investing in is your own wants, desires, and authentic self and your essence and your becoming, because that's the thing that's not a flash in the pan. For every day that you're alive, that's the one guaranteed thing you can focus on that is always going to reap rewards, always going to reward you with blessings, and never going to go away. Anything else that we are investing in that comes higher to us in our priorities than that is not a forever plan. And if we really want to become magnificent human beings, we have to invest in the only thing that is going to last forever. And that's us.